right, welcome to a special version of Block Party. I'm your host, Mike Wahle. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe, rate, and review us if you're enjoying this on our Process to Perform channel, YouTube. You can follow me at Mike Wahle68 on Twitter. You can follow me on Process to Perform on Instagram. I'll put out a couple of clips of these individual players. So today, I've never looked at draft prospects, and honestly, the reason I don't look at them is because I think it's just it's futile, right? But I do evaluate a lot of talent. And when I was working for teams and I was evaluating talent, I do it a lot, I guess, in my mind, a lot simpler than going through, 3 game tapes, 12 game tapes, whatever, to try to cut the herd. So I'm going to go through NFL offensive guard prospects. And obviously I'm not going to go through a ton of them. I have 5 guys I'm going to go through. So we got Osiris Torrance from Florida, Andrew Voorhees from USC, Emil Kior from Alabama, Cody Mock from North Dakota State University, and then Peter Skoronsky, whose grandfather, I believe, is a Hall of Famer for the Green Bay Packers, from Northwestern. So we're going to talk about these guys, and I'm going to give you some things that I just think are super important. If you're trying to evaluate talent at home, if there's a lot of experts out there, right? But everybody does it differently. This is the way I do it. This has seemed to work pretty well as far as not only evaluating talent and how they're going to adapt to the National Football League, but also helping the guys in the National Football League raise to their highest level. So let's just jump right into this. Guard play is probably the least glamorous position right now because Jason Kelce just basically ruined it for guards because he became so popular as a center and all the pulling that he does and everything. He's got a great personality, and him and his brother have the podcast is doing wonderfully, but he just basically put guards used to be for a long time. I think probably peaked with Quentin Nelson getting picked 6 in the draft and living up to the hype. Obviously guys like Larry Allen, when I look back at the best guard that I've ever seen, Larry Allen, certainly number 73 and for the Dallas Cowboys and then later on for the San Francisco 49ers, but just an absolute mountain of a man, had the speed, had the power, strength, was a guy that people were literally afraid of, and I'll tell that story, I think. But well, I'll tell it right now. So Larry Allen, we're sitting at this. This is, you don't get this with other positions. You might get afraid to get beat. Like football, the reason that people attach so much emotion to football. So you look at coaches like Pop Warner coaches, be hitting kids over the head with the whistles back in the day, parents yelling on the sideline, all the aggression, all the machismo, all the guys like banging their heads against lockers, listening to heavy metal. All of it's basically because, like, when you play a violent sport, you're afraid that somewhere deep down in your soul, you are afraid that you're either A, going to get like physically injured, or B, you're going to get physically embarrassed. Like somebody else is just going to trash you. And because of that, we create this, we create emotional states to enter into because we're not really confident in what we do. But in the trenches, it can never be more true because there's not really anything else that can happen to you. Like you're not going to get beat for a touchdown. Someone's not going to outrun you, but you can get physically blown up. You can get knocked out. You can get defeated. You can get sacked, quarterback fumble, all the bad things. So I remember for years I was trying to break in and get enough fan votes to get to the Pro Bowl. So finally, when I left Green Bay, I think all the Green Bay people were nice enough to realize that. They were nice enough to vote me in. I think I got all the fan votes back in Green Bay after I left, and I went to but I thought, in my mind, it was a long time coming. I felt like I should have been there for the last couple of years. So I never forget, I show up. And at this point, Larry Allen is a legend, but he's on the decline for sure. I mean, he's closer to the end than, I think he's 1 or 2 years out of retirement or before retirement. And so it's me, Steve Hutchinson, who's a Hall of Famer and probably the best guard of my generation, certainly. And then Larry. And I'll never forget, we'd line up and we're just kind of in, our T-shirts, just doing like this little walkthrough practice. And I think Sean Rogers, who Green Bay Packer fans know from the Detroit Lions, was out over there. And he's like, "Larry, don't hurt me now." And I went, "What? What did you just say?" And he goes, and you lined up again. He goes, "Larry, I don't want any of this nonsense tomorrow. Don't you hurt me." And I realized for the first time that it wasn't necessarily that his skill had diminished or like he was missing more blocks than he used to, or it was that people are literally afraid to go up against him because they were afraid that he was going to hurt them. And Larry Allen, there used to be the Larry Allen flu, and there used to be the Larry Allen flu in football, and you knew players, defensive tackles, that that would get sick or have this phantom injury either before they had to play Larry Allen or during like halftime. So my agent Neil Corner, it's the first time we play my first playoff game against the Niners. We go and play we go and play Dana Stubblefield and Brian Young. So I've got Dana. Dana's coming off. I think that year before he was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year, NFC Defensive Player of the Year. So playing at a super high level. And my agent goes, "Hey, if you want to know how to block Dana," and he just calls unsolicited information. I'm not searching this out. He goes, "You should watch him versus the Dallas Cowboys." So, okay. So I pop on the tape for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's literally running away. Like Dana won't touch him. He won't even get in anywhere near Larry Allen, because if you got within like this far of Larry Allen would put that 700-pound bench press right on your chest and crack you in half. So that's probably when we peak. There's a lot of good guards out there now. There's some free agent guys. Isaac Seumalo from the Eagles is going to be a free agent. If he leaves Philly, wherever he goes, is going to get a massive upgrade. Brandon Schiff went to Jacksonville last year. In my opinion, one of the most impactful free agent pickups that nobody talks about, because he really solidified that line and created a culture on that offense. But there's some young guys coming out, and it's very interesting when you look at these guys come in all different body types, all shapes and sizes. And I think for me, you have to start understanding what you're looking at, and then you have to understand, so the three things are: what are you looking at? Who is going to develop that person in your building? Like, do you feel like you have the talent at the coaching position to develop that person, given the timeline that you have? So is he going to, start right away? Is he a 2 or 3 year project, right? And then what do you think his ceiling is, and what do you think his long-term injury history could be given his body type? So let's jump into this stuff. So start with Osiris Torrance from Florida. Now, 6'5", 337 pounds. He actually looks bigger than that. I put the 40 times up there because they're relevant. And a lot of guys will say 40 times aren't relevant to offensive linemen. I couldn't disagree more, because I've never seen an offensive lineman who runs a sub-5 not be a good player. But I've seen a lot of guys who run over a 5'2", over a 5'2", be bad players because they just don't have the foot speed. So this guy is a number one rated guy on a lot of people's boards. I've never seen these guys play. I literally picked this stuff up this morning. Like I said, I don't really spend too much time watching college football. I really like the pro game. So let's just go through this stuff. He's the right guard. You can see already he's a mountain of a man. Has kind of a squatty stance, so his hips are lower than his shoulders, so he's more of a quad dominant athlete. When I look at these guys, let's just break it down right now. What are we talking about? We're going to talk about stance. We're going to talk about footwork and body position, and then everything else, hand placement, all that other stuff. I just kind of look at and go, are they using it now? Is it something that we're going to really have to work on? For example, like arm extension, hand position, etc. But your stance kind of opens up for me a lot of things that might be good or bad about your athleticism, your footwork, and then your body position, how you enter into confrontation. Those things are the only things that really matter to me when you're evaluating talent, because everything is based off that, and all of the kind of stuff that happens during contacts, when we talk about how we strike, all that other stuff is really a consequence of your footwork, your body position, and then your stance picks up a lot of these little nuances. Like, for example, I can have some questions about his ankle mobility right now. There's a reason that he's in the stance that he's at. He's quad dominant versus hip dominant. I'm going to guess that he is not as fast out of his stance as some of the other players in this draft, just by looking at that stance. So these are playing against Georgia here. I just picked. So let me just say this too. The other thing, I just literally pick tape and go. I hit play number 4 to play number 8, play number 27 to play number 32, whatever it is. Like, and just see what we see, because you can go through all this stuff, but realistically, like, if you know what you're looking at, after about 2 series, the guy's going to be the same, because your stance, your footwork, and your body position, no matter what scheme you're running, no matter what opponent you're playing against, it's going to be the same. Your stuff doesn't, like, the film doesn't lie. So you could be playing against a really bad player and have a good day and still not move, in my opinion. Or you could be playing against the guys in Georgia and have a really good day, but they're good too. And it's like, the question is, like, can we develop the talent that's in the room? So as we look at this first play, what pops up immediately is he might turn early. So you look at it, turns early, short corner. We rewind it again, and it's just right now you can see that was not a wide three technique, but the way that he sets, the fact that he has that back foot open to the sideline, opens that body quicker. And listen, for scouts, coaches, players, we are training these offensive linemen as elite level athletes. Like, I think of them as elite level athletes. They do the same amount of work as defensive tackles, linebackers, DBs, running backs, wide receivers. We are not transferring the athleticism, the elite level athleticism and precision from the weight room and from the movement prep field onto the field of play. When I hear a coach, and I see this on social media all the time, tell the offensive lineman to stick their back foot out towards the sideline and create this, shin angle or triangle. That's not how the body moves. And I'll do a show on that later on. We're going to do some work with some German guys next week or 2 weeks, excuse me. But when you're looking at this stuff, just if you stand up and point your feet like that, like 90 degrees from each other, and then just stand normal, your body's going to go back to the middle. It's going to, it's going to revert back to the mean. So you're already, if you do that in your stance, even if you point your chest towards the line of scrimmage, after your first kick, you're going to turn. It's inevitable. And I don't understand why we do it. I know that at some point there was big guys have ankle mobility problems, so they started kicking their feet out, and we just made like a rule out of it. It's tradition. Doesn't work. Doesn't make sense. You see what happens here, short corner. So you see the shuffle into place, and then comes down, bangs out of this guy, rises, stays on. It's fantastic. Not really a lot to see there. Only that he kept a good base through the whole thing. Kept his pad level. Okay, so they're doing a slide protection here, and so it's okay that he's oversetting. What I look at obviously here is like the speed of his set, not necessarily as sudden as you'd like. Okay, and the other thing is because you're setting so flat and you're forcing that, what you're doing from a protection standpoint is if your tackle sets back and you set flat and it's a slide protection, as you see right here, he's not going to be able to get over and help that tackle in time to flush the quarterback, right? So it's these little things, and a lot of that's coaching. Like, it's all coaching, because whatever you allow them to do is what they're going to do. I'm just saying from a habit standpoint and just kind of football IQ and awareness, this is one of those things where if your tackle's setting deep and you set flat, there's going to be this natural place where your tackle's expecting inside help, and you're not going to be able to give it to it because you're flat setting. You're trying to get that guy to go into the center. Okay, so just a little thing there. Again, that can be taught. Okay, again, we see the very quick turn. And I know that I just read that this guy had never given up a sack, and I guess that's fantastic. But you see, because of the body position that he immediately gets into, he points that foot towards the sideline, turns his hips, opens up, and because he plays high, even though he's a mountain of a man, when you play that tall, he's 6'5", 340. But if you play tall, it's still easy to turn you, especially when you turn your foot to the sideline. See, we have feet going kind of 90 degrees from each other. So now it's that hip's not as strong, easy to open up, doesn't punch and extend, even though he does have his hands inside, but it just turns into an easy open. Now, here's what you do love. He gets one guy down with the help, and he's coming hunting for the next guy. He goes off screen, but he gets 2 knockdowns in one play, which is phenomenal. That's what you're going to get from a guy like this. Trying to pass off some different players here. Again, when the movement is not necessarily like, he's such a big guy, you could think like, do you think of Sean Andrews? Do you think of Jahari Evans? Like, those are monster guys that really move well. Somebody compared him to Larry Allen, which is a complete no offense to this kid, but like that's Larry Allen, man. Larry Allen ran like a sub 5. This guy runs a 5.4. Right. We'll see what he runs at the combine. It'll also be interesting to see what he comes in at weight wise at the combine. If he was playing at 340, is he going to come in 10 pounds lighter? Because we had that same problem last year with Neal. You lost like 20 pounds for the combine, gained it back, but the footwork and the foot speed was really the issue. Okay. So this is just something to think about because this guy is highly rated, does have upside, but you really have to make sure from a footwork standpoint, you're comfortable with the pace that he plays at. So it's a nice job wheeling on this guy, but really, this is one of those situations where you're not teaching it to happen like this. He's just being an athlete right here and saying, "I'm bigger and stronger than you. I know where the ball's going." Does a good job. You'd love to see him finish right there. Yeah, 2 outside look for our man here. We got the down block. First step's okay. Second step, you like to get upfield a little bit more. Nitpicking. But not a lot of pop, right? Not a lot of hip explosion on contact. And then he takes the ball, so he's high into this pass set. I mean, this is why it happens. So you get your third kick, you're out wide, you're setting flat. And again, we always talk about this. You're not really ready for confrontation because you're not setting back at an angle. You're setting pretty flat. You go kick, slide, kick. Now you make contact with a wide base. You're up tall. I can see all your numbers. And this is not conducive to being able to stop the ball, plus your hands are outside. So these are the kind of things when I look at it, knowing the speed of like a Quinnen Williams at 3 technique, even though he's, maybe sub 300 pounds, he's going to get into this guy really fast. And you just have to say, are you confident that he can stop the bull of guys that are a little bit faster? Because every player in the National Football League, every 3 technique, every team's got a good one now. So I think that 5.440, we'll see what he runs later, but it picks up on this screen, right? So now we go to Emil, who's the Alabama guard. I'd never watched this guy before. He's really good. And I'll start off by saying I was super impressed with what this guy does. Runs a 5.25, 317 pounds, playing right guard here. Compact stance. Not thrilled with this stance, but he shows you he's got really good bend. His base isn't exceptionally wide. He can explode out of this stance. Really impressive. Now we'll show you what the limitations are there, but you see the initial run. I don't know what happened there, but he gets out and pulls. He looks good on the move. The pass off, not a big deal. Just showing that he can stay square to the line of scrimmage. His feet don't get crossed together. He doesn't get washed or anything. I love this 2-point stance. You look at these 3 guys, and I think 54 is coming out as well. You look at the stances here. I just don't have the right tackle just because he's covered up by 18. But you look at 70, and you look at the other 2, and you go, something's, one of these kids is doing his own thing. The bend that he shows, I think, from his 2-point stance here is something to be commended. We'll see how he comes out of this. I think this is probably going to be a pass. I like the explosiveness. Just bottom line, no matter what happens from here, if you compare and contrast what we just saw with the Florida kid to what we see right here, this is a more explosive player. He's 317 pounds. He's a more explosive player. You see the pad level and the hip hinge is still available. So he's not standing straight up. He's got his hip hinge. You see we have that no numbers mentality where you're not seeing his entire number. This is actually a really interesting protection issue, but wouldn't want to get into it. But he's just trying to chase 3 around. Does a good job. Okay. This is where you really start liking this guy. Great finish, but also first and second step down. He doesn't cross over, so he gets on his track. He stays on his angle. He waits for 92 to come to him, wins with his inside hand. and just tries to drive, and finally gets over and works the guy under the ground. That's a fantastic job against, top quality SEC opponent. Not overpowering, but he's coming in waves. He has hip explosion. He has good footwork already. This is the right tackle. He does a great job of talking about Emil now. He does a great job of taking 2 steps, trying to redirect. Tackles a little bit off there. We see the pull again, just showing that he can, stays upright. You see this position where your hips are so low, you almost got parallel thighs. It's almost like he's in a squat right now. And so it's just hard to generate force, 1. And 2, if that defensive lineman is coming off flat, it's going to be hard not to get hit in the chest here. Okay. And so one thing you see in these situations is that if he's coming off in the run, he might have to get his legs wider. Now, this is a good job, but the pass pro, he's flat setting. I think we'll run this one again. He's got quiet feet. He's not heavy footed. I never he's got a great base going into contact. He's good body position. The flat set thing is what's coached largely across. There's a reason that we don't teach it, but that's neither here nor there. But the way he's trying to operate and the fact that he brings his second step with him is huge into contact. He tries to work to punch and extend and get that guy away from his body. Okay, so this is an RPO. This is supposed to be a run. Go back and see that one more time. You see, he just kind of shuffles into this. He's not taking any power stance. He's not taking a good timing step, second step up the field, strike with your second step. He's shuffling into it. His feet are wide. He's not going to have a good base or drive here. This isn't what you want to see. You want to really be able to work on this. You want to have good power angles going into contact. This would be an area of opportunity for this player. Doesn't win with his hands there either. You want to be able to strike and be confident in that. Love that he keeps fighting. Just a behavioral thing. You expect that from your guards. We're not great athletes. Got to keep fighting. Fantastic pull. You could see this working on the NFL sidelines on Sundays. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about a little bit when you look at players like Emil with this stance. In order to get your pad level low, you don't really have anywhere to go because you're already in this quad dominant squat stance. So in order to get in, you got to spread your feet and kind of bend over and get low. And now what happens is it's easy to get shed. He does a great job of staying up here, but you see what the issue is, I think, if you're looking at this from an evaluation standpoint. Looks like 92 got hurt on that play. Again, you see the feet are wide. This isn't what you want, but this is how the only way he can generate his pad level to get low enough in order to come into contact now, just because of his stance. So improve the stance, you can improve this pad level into contact. All right, Andy Voorhees, USC, highly regarded, 6'5", 325, runs a 5.12. I'm going to be honest, he runs a 5.12. I don't know if his footwork is as good as the Emil from Alabama. He's a left guard here. First of all, absolutely love his stance. So you just see fingertips are on the ground, very, very balanced position. He can run, pass, pull, do whatever he wants from this position. Looks like he is an athlete, belongs, where he's at. So we look at the first step here. Steps underneath himself. You start thinking, okay, you're in this great stance where you can have mental weight on either foot and you can gain leverage on your athlete and you're stepping underneath yourself. That's something you look for immediately. Is it something we can fix? Absolutely. There he does gain ground on the backside. So you put that line there. Are you going to be able to get over that line with your first step? Absolutely. Fantastic job. And then rising up on the second level. One thing we'll talk about him, he plays top as opposed to Emil from Alabama. He plays top heavy. Okay. This player, you can already tell as he gets to that second level, he doesn't sink his hips into contact. So after that, what I'm saying is after that first level, it'll be interesting to see for the rest of this tape. After that first level of contact, if he has to rise to the second level, is he able to stay or is he able to reset back low with his hips? Right here, he gets his feet a little messed up, gets jammed in the face, isn't ready for contact. And this is what I'm talking about. After that initial play, this player, Andrew, seems to rise up a little bit. Be the one, huge area of opportunity for him is can you stay with a great hip level during the entire hip hinge position, body position. Again, one thing we talk about, can you stay there and maintain that throughout the entire play? Easy. Love to see those hands away from the body. Again, love the stance. Can do anything from that stance. Fantastic. Shows that he has good bend as well. You see the feet are both pointing towards the line of scrimmage, by the way. He's not jutted out. It's fantastic. That means right off the bat, you can go, okay, has ankle mobility, probably a good mover, probably a good bender. Okay, right here again, you see when he redirects, just something to kind of check out when you're evaluating talent. Pops up, and then the redirect. Now, can you sit back down? There you go. Can you sit back down and then get your hands inside and win? You got to pull. This is where he struggles a little bit. There was a couple times during this game where he's pulling and guys just dip right underneath him. Happened right here. We see it again. It's like this linebacker splits, but his pad level is just not going to win right there. You have to be able to play a little bit lower. That's the concern, I think, if you're playing the guard position in the National Football League level with the elite level athletes you have on the first and second level. You go into contact here. You have kind of an ace chip. We'll show this again. And I think from a footwork standpoint, you'd like to see that right foot go a little bit forward, but you really got to strike, and your pad level's too high here, right? So this is the opportunity. If you're a guard in the National Football League and you know your center's coming with you on a 2-eye, man, I am teeing off on this dude. I'm trying to put my inside hand through his chest. Like I want to wave at the linebacker out of his back. You're literally trying to destroy this guy, and he's just kind of leaning on him. His pad level's too high. His hips are too high. Okay. So going into contact, he's really not making that push on the defensive tackle, getting to that second level like you'd like to see. Does a great job stepping down to his right. You see he gains leverage every time. Now, this pass rusher is smaller and he's not very good. Okay, but what we'll notice is he spreads his feet. So on a second, he goes kick, spreads his other foot this way. So now he's going to be able to, the defensive tackle is going to be able to open him up. He doesn't have his let me show it here. And so you think he's in good position, but his base is too wide. So you see immediately his feet get to that position. And now he's just got to hold on. Again, you look at elite. You're always looking now like, okay, well, what's he going to do against elite level guys? Same thing. In these positions, when you come down and that nose tackle comes out, you got to be able to punch and extend and not get him up high on your chest. There's too many times you see in this film. And again, guys, this is completely random film, completely random plays. Like I do not, I probably should spend more time trying to decide, is UCLA the good? I just figured USC, UCLA, let's watch that. Play number 25 looks good, whatever it is. But when you go and bump this guy off, you got to be able to punch and extend. This shouldn't be a situation where this guy's already got you high, you're leaning, and he's going to be able to open you up like the hands of a clock. Your arms aren't extended on him. Your arms are just wrapping up. Like this is the kind of stuff when I look at it, I go, okay, we got a long ways to go as far as where you want to get to. Again, a little bit high, immediately gets tall, and now he's up top, chases the guy down. Love the effort. Not much there. Get the help. Come across. You'd love to see this again. He's just high, so he has to wrestle. What have I done? Okay, he's high. So instead of just smashing this guy, right? He feels because he's so tall. He's of the three offensive linemen right here. He's up the tallest, and so now he's got to wrestle with this guy instead of just winning inside with his hands or just knocking his block off, right? I don't know if he's just supposed to wheel on this guy, but you don't really love the way he enters into this contact with his hips. Then we got to pull. And I don't think this is his fault. This is one of those situations where the defensive end comes down. And so he doesn't see the linebacker. He's really looking for that defensive end. The linebacker comes, dips underneath him. Just kind of unfortunate. See it right here. Ends up getting on somebody. I think we got one more inside hand. That looks great right there, the way he came off the ball. Show it one more time. This is what you want to see from an inside hand and power. That power angle with your right foot, your right hand, getting that inside pan. And now you'd love to see him punch, extend, and drive. Okay. But you just like the way that power angle looks. His right foot's forward, his right hand's inside. We see the jump out. So this is going to be a three-man pickup. So he jumps out on a stance. We don't like the way he jumps out flat to address number 12, the defensive end. And then you come off on this linebacker. And again, you're kind of always catching him. You're never really popping him. And so he is able to wheel on you and you end up on the ground. Not a great look, right? Just from a footwork standpoint, you want to be in a better position. A lot of that just is because he plays so flat. And again, I think where, again, random, but where he kind of gets exposed, I think, athletically is when he's on the move. He doesn't move nearly as well as the last guard we looked at when he's on the move. Now, this guy, so there's two guys on here that play tackle, but they're projected as potential guards. This guy made a big stink because he's North Dakota State. I think he came in as a tight end, and now he's 6'6", 303, 488. I'm just telling you right now, I didn't have to watch an inch of game on this kid to tell you, that the kid can play in the National Football League because he's 6'6", 303, runs a 488. He's going to be a good athlete. Number 70, coming off the ball. Great line surge, great pad level. Again, he's your left tackle. Little hinge, no big deal. Little shove away there, I kind of like that. Playing against Arizona here, so a Pac-12 school. So you just love the balance, right? You love the balance in the arm extension. So I don't love the set. You see how his pad level is straight up and down. Now, a lot of guys are teaching this. A lot of guys taught this for years, but his pad level straight up and down. You don't really want to see that from your tackle or your guard because you're going to get two hands right in your chest. So you want to keep that no numbers mentality. You want to keep that hip hinge position. You want to be the elite athlete that your strength and conditioning coach has been teaching you to be for the last 4 years, okay? Having said all that, hands are outside, but he does have great balance. You can tell that he's strong, and look at him chase down, working hard. Not a big deal, but just a little footwork thing. Initially saw that the inside man was spiking, so he can redirect outside on the backer or the safety, as the backer, excuse me. Again, he's up too high, but you just see he does a great job. Feet clicks. There's a lot of work to be done with this guy, okay, from a technical standpoint. He's getting away with athleticism. I did the same thing when I was younger. You get away with athleticism until you get caught. Okay, so this is a project guy. But you see, when he gets into contact, his body position, like, sunk his hips, hands inside, body's extended away. And I'm not saying that, the Arizona guy's a great pass rusher, but he does finish him to the ground. I mean, just from a demeanor standpoint, you're going, okay, we got a chance. All right, we got a chance. Love to see a little bit more here, be able to deliver. We just showed this with the USC kid. Now, because his bad footwork, he doesn't really take as much off this defensive end as he could, right? If you just had a little bit better base. But what you do like is hip level, pad level into contact. He's definitely the aggressor here. He's going to be able to turn this guy's shoulders. So the pad level is huge. I think that he can play low is huge. Footwork needs a lot of work. But again, in my mind, I go, oh, he runs a 4.88 as a former tight end. Footwork's going to be okay. That looks really, really good when he moves. Really, really good when he moves. Stance, you see his foot kicks out. It looks like he's a little bit heavy. Uh, it would be very difficult for him to do a proper vertical set in that stance. So if he wants to get into the National Football League and do a line set, a vertical set of any kind, and not just flat set out, he's going to have a hard time from that stance. He's going to have to even it up a little bit. You can see kind of the bottom of his cleats on his inside foot, which you don't want to be able to see. Absolutely love what he did here, though. Perfect balance, pad level, and then attacks this guy inside. We call that a car crash. And I just wanted to show this because this is, again, people get enamored with being an athlete. So a lot of things come into play. What is demeanor like? Can he learn? How does he learn? Is he a good fit in the room? But when you see this fall over and just pop right back up like that, that's, I mean, that's what we're looking for. Now he's going down and trying to knock the hip out for that two technique. Linebacker flows over the top. He shouldn't be able to make this play. But he keeps his guy out, does a good job. Some of these plays are coming too fast, I think. Let's try this again. He's able to redirect here. So they're coming down, and he's super patient here. Takes out 48. Great job, great power angles, like great body position. Great body position. Okay, so liked him. He's of all of them, he's probably the biggest project, but he might have a really, really high upside because of his athleticism, because of his demeanor. He's coming from that small school. So it's, I did the same thing. You're kind of using your athleticism to win a lot instead of using maybe the same techniques that you're going to lose. So you're going to have to use. So you're going to have a really good technical coach or a really good mentor in order to get that guy right. But his upside could be big. This guy is the cream of the crop. Peter Skoronski. I've seen him play for a couple of years now. I have a guy at Northwestern. He is he's ready made. This kid's ready made. 6'3", so a little bit short, obviously, to play tackle. That's why they're looking at him a guard. He's been starting since day one here, though. And I had to go sideline here just to show everybody, this is it. He's running down with the running back. I mean, little things like that stand out just from an athleticism standpoint. Same play here. Inside hand wins on 22. And he's got the speed to not get a holding call, right? When your hands are crossed and you're trying to beat that guy inside. Just love the body position, the footwork, and like his hip height, pad height, entering into contact here, gets his defensive end, comes down, finishes the block. So at the guard position, he's not too severe with the ratio of where your hips are to your pads are. This guy plays incredibly low. In other words, he can maintain this position until contact most of the time. He does a really good. You see the hip, he kind of just drops. He does what I call a gut drop. He kind of drops his pads right before contact, and he's driving up into number 9, the defensive end for Ohio State. Pretty good with his hands consistently in the snaps that I watch. You see that left foot out here. I know he's being taught that. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is what it is. He's already turned. So this is why we don't do it. Okay. But having said that, you see his inside hand, his confidence, his punch and extension, keeping him away on a 3-step drop. Okay. That is fantastic. Body position. and balance is super, super important. Again, you see the guy super confident with his hands. He knows that he's going to get that outside help from the tight end. So he takes a great first step and gains leverage. Crosses over the second step. Quarterback runs out of the pocket. Not a big deal. Okay, a little hog tie here. Not what we want to see. Interesting camera angle. Loved it. Look at the pad level and explosion on this goal line play. Who are they going to run it? They're going to behind their best player. And this guy just boom. I mean, that's clinic, big time. All the power's going up through that body, washes him over. That's a big time play. Loves it. Okay, so the defensive end's going to rock out, and I brought this up because a lot of guys just fall over and plays over on this scenario. You see his first step, second step, he hesitates, gets down to a knee, ends up finishing the block. Not a lot of guys can do that. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but you got to look at footwork. Come down and block. You see that hip pop right here. Show this play twice. But you see this hip pop. Boom, right there. Again, boom. So first good good initial footwork, but that hip pop is something that this guy has in droves. And you really haven't seen it from the other guys. As much certainly not nearly as severe as this guy has. This is what, when you're looking for players, he gets, because what does that demonstrate? Well, it demonstrates he has great footwork into contact, great body position into contact, and he has power. He knows how to use his hips. We call it hips to hands. So he uses the power going through the ground, through his hips to accentuate in his hands and his helmet. So when he goes into contact, he can really lift this guy up and now kind of maintain a much better power angle, push him almost off the screen. It's fantastic. And then we got one more here. I got two more here, excuse me. So he's on the outside here on this next play, excuse me. Covered by this field goal post, but you see the inside hand again. Inside hand. Great balance. Getting the guy out of there. And he's got, so I doubt his arms are like NFL elite level length, but you see, because the way he plays, his leverage, his the way he pops his hips and his balance, he's able to, and he keeps moving his feet. He's able to overcome this athlete and get some 10 yards down the field off the screen. And then I just absolutely love this play. You just see the balance that he comes into contact with, wipes this guy out completely. I don't know if I show this twice. If I don't, I'm going to show it again. So this is a double team, but he all of a sudden realizes that the 35 is coming downhill. So he doesn't turn his body. Now, NFL guys do this all the time. They'll turn their body and then try to turn back. It never happens. This is a well-coached player right here. Stays square with his feet. Both feet are pointed towards the line of scrimmage. Resets, hip pop, puts this guy right on his backside. That's phenomenal. So you look at all these different players, and again, you've got a guy that's 6'5", 340. You got a guy that's, that's 6'3", 303. I think the 6'3", 303 guy for me is the biggest opportunity here for a guy to step in and play right now. There's questions about everybody. Osiris Terrence, he's massive. Is he going to maintain that size, and is he going to be able to increase his athleticism? Is he going to be like, Mekhi Becton came in, he was like 375 pounds. Everyone goes amazing. And you look back at the tape, I go, well, no, wait a second, guys. It's almost like he's too big. And so now he's had injury problems. Like, it's not a coincidence, okay? Andrew Voorhees, we need to get the foot speed up, and we need to get him to sink his hips down on the second level. So after initial contact, can you maintain a lower hip level? Emil Ekiyor, I really like the way this guy plays. Of all these guys, plus because he played at Alabama, he's kind of ready-made, been in SEC for a while. I like a lot of the things that he did. I think the kid from NDSU, Cody Mock, is going to be, if with the right coaching, he'll be a real talent if he's got the right attitude, because he's certainly got the tangibles. When you run that pace, you can put some lower body strength on his frame. He could probably be 310 pounds and play at a high level. And then Peter Skoronski, 6'3", 305. So he might not fit everybody's palette as far as his size and weight for a guard, but I immediately looked to the right guard for the Atlanta Falcons. I can't remember his name now. First round pick a couple of years ago, and go, yeah, it's kind of the same kid. Has the same kind of body profile, has great footwork, good with his hands, great. I mean, but the leverage is a big deal. And you see it separates him from a lot of these other players. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, hit me up, Mike Wahle 68 on Twitter or TikTok, Process to Perform on Instagram. We'll do these intermittently throughout the season. So we're always going to have a block party on Monday. We'll have one of these on Thursday. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great weekend, guys.